When I was growing up, I used to get my ass beat. It was rough. Did it toughen me up to a degree? Yes. But it also did something else. It made me violent. It taught me to resolve conflict with violence. It taught me to act out when I felt emotionally charged. So I had to train myself to not react like that over the years in my ascension as a young adult. Now, the parent that I am today, I have never hit my children. I never even wanted to hit my children. I think it is so bizarre for a parent to hit their child. Think about a husband and wife. If one hits the other, they're going to jail. So why do you think it's okay to hit your child? I'm gonna tell you something. Black people especially. The reason that you whoop your children is because you were taught that by your slave masters. This is a tradition that's been carried on from generation to generation, and it should stop. If you do not have the intellectual dexterity in which to rear and discipline your child, you need your ass beat, figuratively speaking. When I was growing up, I used to get my
Now, come here. Come help. Man, quit playing with me. Come help. These type of kids gonna get you fucked up. That's what I'm saying. These your friends though. Your friend gonna get your ass beat. If you ever in your fucking life listen to one of them and raise your hand at me, bitch, I will bury you. And bury they dust asses too. Don't fucking play with me, David. This type of shit I'm talking about. These little boys, these little girls gonna get the shit beat out you, boy. Play with me if you want to. You better choose your motherfucking friends wisely. Cause right now, you bullshit, nigga. Better tell them your dad not the nigga to play with. I will bury them fucking bitches. I don't care about killing no fucking kids. You better tell them. Before they kill you or before they hurt you, I'll do it. Tell them folks quit motherfucking playing. This shit ain't no motherfucking joke. Fuck wrong with y'all kids.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakha Korash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone. Salutations to all the Akim, pushing his word with true sincerity and with charity. Yahweh is the true name of the Heavenly Father, whom the word and he calls God and Jehovah. Bahasham is in the name. Yahweh Shai is his son's name, but the word and he calls Jesus, and Rakha Korash is the Holy Spirit. And as always, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are the true Israelites according to the Holy Scriptures, as well as the speckled bird, the scattered Israelite foreigners scattered amongst other nations, whose outer appearance may seem to be of those nations to whom they've been scattered to, but whose lineage, their father's line, go back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You are Israelites, no matter what your outer appearance may seem to be. And as always, I'm the brother Yediah from the Great Millstone Branch out in Chicago, and I'm back at you another lesson. It's going to be entitled Withhold Not Correction from a Child. And as you see, you had two different videos playing the beginning of this. You had one of these new age parents in which he said, you shouldn't physically beat or discipline. You shouldn't physically discipline or correct, your child as far as striking the hands or whooping his ass or so forth. And then you had a second example of a father that's actually disciplining his son, a physically, and his son, judging off the video, his son was like with some gang banging friends or, doing some of this new age young nigga stuff, flexing guns, gang banging type stuff or whatnot. And he checked him. He reproved him and put it online. And, he slapped him up, which he deserved, which according to the scriptures we're going to get into is actually how you discipline your children. You see? Hey, the scriptures tell us Job, I believe it's Job 8. It's Job 8. Job 8:8. For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself for the search of their fathers. Right. You see, we're supposed to look to the old past, the ancient ways, how our fathers got down, and where's that history written within the scriptures? You see, because this is our book, this is our heritage, this new age living, this new modern way of life. It doesn't profit you Israelites because it's ultimately anti-Messiah, right? From us down to starting with the God that the God of this world, you got to know who you're truly serving, but even boils down to a aspects as far as parenting, right? It says, for we are but of yesterday and know nothing, because our days upon earth are as a shadow. Shall not they teach thee and tell thee and utter words out of their heart? Right. Point being, we got to look to the Holy Scriptures on how to walk. Proverbs tell you that the law is a lamp. A lamp, it makes light, it illuminates, it shows the way. So a point being, how we ought to operate ourselves, how we ought to live, our manner, our conduct, got to be based on what the Scriptures say. You see, and the Scriptures tell you right here, Proverbs 23:13, withhold not correction from the child, the youth, right? Your son, your daughter, right? It says, don't withhold correction, meaning don't let them go. Don't let them get off easy. Don't let them go unpunished, so to say. It says, withhold not correction from the child, for thou beatest him with the rod, you whoop his ass, he shall not die, right? And if you actually discipline a child, show him the way, he's actually going to be able to live. It says, train up a child in the way that he shall go, which is in the knowledge, the nurture of the Lord, these holy scriptures. And it says, when he get old, he shall not depart, right? It says, thou shalt beat him with the rod, so you're going to whoop his ass and shall deliver his soul from hell, the grave. You won't be on a path to utter destruction. And that's what correction does. But hey, this society, it tells you, oh, no, you don't have to. Well, not. Let me be more in particular. The self-proclaimed white man, the Edomite, a part of his wine, his philosophy is all you don't discipline your children. You just let them do them. And these new age, well, these Edomites, they are horrible people. They're children, disrespectful, vain, and so forth. But nonetheless, you try and push that wine to you Jakes, man, and it doesn't work for you. Here it is. You have plenty of Jake that don't grow up with a father in the house disciplining them. And them niggas all turn out to be no goods. But Jake that got his father in the house that's physically whooping his ass, disciplining him, training him up, even if he without the knowledge, but, showing him, not allowing him just to be a sluggard or a drunkard, Hey, you see the difference. I don't want to ramble on too much. I want to hit these scriptures. This Proverbs 22:15, foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction shall drive it far from him, right? And a child in his youth, he's going to do a bunch of dumb shit. And you don't look past it or wink at it. You don't baby him, no. You discipline him. You correct him. And that correction is going to work for him later on in life. It says, but the rod of correction shall drive it far from him. You see? So that's how we ought to be, man. This Sirach chapter 30 and verse 1, he that loveth his son causes him oft to feel the rod, right? You love your son. You want him to be okay. You're going to discipline him so he don't do things that's going to negatively affect him and your household. You see, you got children that grow up undisciplined and not respecting authority. And what do they end up? Dead or in jail. Or just on a path of utter destruction and no good. Son of Belial, right? But a son that's been that didn't felt the rod, got his ass whooped. His father stayed up on him. He's gonna be on a better path. It says that he may have joy of him in the end. He that chastiseth his son, and chastise goes into discipline for moral correction. But it says he that chastity of his son shall have joy in him and shall rejoice of him among his acquaintance, right? You chastise him, you on his ass, disciplining him. He's going to be a respectable man, right? It says verse 3, he that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy, and before his friends he shall rejoice of him. And that's truly why even that whole spirit is pushed out there. You saw even the self-proclaimed white man don't want discipline within our house. He don't want the Israelite man in the house ruling his house. He wants disorder. He wants confusion. And how do you do that? You bind the strong man. You take the father out the house. Supplement the mother. Let the mother raise the son, which that is just a wicked and mentally damaging in itself, But this is what the enemy wants, right? But you do the opposite. You actually raise your son, It says, he that chastises his son shall have joy in him and shall rejoice of him among his acquaintance. He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy, and before his friends he shall rejoice of him. Though his father die, yet he as though he were not dead, for he have left one behind that is like himself, right? as it's gonna say, a avenger against his enemies. You know, but the father instills those same morals, that same way that was passed down. You know, he doesn't become degenerate. It says which is basically declining from your ancestors, degeneration. You know, falling further away from that line, so to say, which is what you see nowadays. Jake is completely degenerate. Why? Because a lot of them didn't have discipline. Hey, I'll give you an example, right? This is real life. My father worked at my school that I went to, and I was a young man, and a lot of following me. And every time I would get in trouble, the teachers would send me down to the lunchroom with a note, and the note would tell, what I did. And my father would whoop me with a belt at school, in the bathroom, and everybody knew, and everybody heard, and everybody seen, And hey, growing up in life, that discipline, that chastening, that correction, it actually helped, compared to I had, contemporaries, but, dudes that I was in school with. And one time, story time. One time I had went to I went to his house, basically. I left school. I was in like 3rd or 4th grade, but I left school, went to his house, and his father, he was a drug dealer, and his father would give his son, we in 3rd, 4th grade, give his son weed and let him sell weed and so forth. Go to his crib, guns, all types of, bugged out stuff that a father shouldn't show or shouldn't instill, And the son grew up willful, he gang banging, undisciplined, and so forth. Just to give you an example of a disciplined son, not to, glory, but a disciplined son and an undisciplined son. You see, in a world a lie to you and try and tell you, oh, no, you don't beat your kids, you don't do that. No, the scriptures, which is the word of the Lord, gives us the best and greatest way. And he said, whoop them. But I don't want to stray away too much. This is Sirach 30 and verse 5. It says, while he lived, he saw and rejoiced in him, and when he died, he was not sorrowful. He left behind an avenger against his enemies, and one that shall requite kindness to his friends. Right. It says, he that maketh too much of his son shall bind up his wounds. Right. You make too much of your son. You give him too much praise. You instill too much in him. You esteem him so highly and so forth. It says, he that maketh too much of his son shall bind up his wounds, and his bowels will trouble at every cry. Right. You pamper, a child. Every time he cry, you come out, it could be me. You're not really doing him any good. You see? It says, verse 8, and a horse not broken becometh willful. It's like a horse not broken becometh headstrong, and a child left to himself will be willful. A child that's not, disciplined, not being ruled over from that, parental father figure. He's going to become willful. He's going to do what he want to do. And that's what you got nowadays. A bunch of willful, no good, as it says in the law, drunkards. All he do is, he's lazy. All he does is get drunk, It goes into the law. Basically, if you had an unprofitable son, you would stone his little ass. Said, my son is rebellious. He don't listen to correction, which will solve a whole lot of problems that we have nowadays. But going back to it, it says, verse 9, conquer thy child, which is pamper, basically. It says, conquer thy child, and he shall make thee afraid. Play with him, and he will bring thee to heaviness. Right. And this, going back to the example of this dude I grew up with, his father, he pampered him, basically. He wasn't installing discipline. He wasn't being a disciplinarian. He was his friend. And God knows, what happened between them, but that's not how it ought to be. You see? This is hey, look at the Lord. Look at Yahweh. Yahweh, it says it pleased him to bruise Yahweh Shai. He disciplined him. It says through a father, it says Yahweh Shai, he learned through chastening. It says he learned obedience through chastening. It says, though your son learned Hebrews 5 and verse 8. Hebrews 5 and 7, who in the days of his flesh, when he had offered up prayers and supplications, speaking of Yahushua, with strong crying and tears unto him that was able to save him from death, and was heard in that he feared. Slacky. It says, and was heard in that he feared. It says, though he were a son, speaking of Yahushua, yet learned he obedience by the things which he suffered. So a Yahweh put Yahushua through intense discipline. How much more us on the earth with our children, you know? But that was just a quick sidebar. This Sirach 30 and verse 10. Laugh not with him, lest thou have sorrow from him. It's like you have sorrow with him, and lest thou gnash thy teeth in the end. Right? You make too much of him. You don't discipline him. You grow a friend relationship with him. When it comes down time for him to be corrected, he's not going to accept it. You know, he's not going to look at you as a father. He's going to look at you as a friend. And that's contempt. It says, verse 11, give him no liberty in his youth, and wink not at his follies. Right? Anything he does, you got to stay on him. He has to stay disciplined. He fuck up, do something wrong, you own that. It says, bow down his neck while he is young, and beat him on the sides while he is a child, unless he wax stubborn and be disobedient to thee, and so bring sorrow to thy heart. And that's what happens. You instill that discipline at him in a young age, and he respects you, or you don't, and he grows stubborn, willful, be disobedient, and it ultimately bring sorrow, as the scripture said. He disobedient, he doing things that affect not only his life but your life, and we see it often. It says, verse 13, chastise thy son and hold him to labor, lest his lewd behavior be an offense unto thee. So you got to be on a child, man. You can't, as this dude in the front was telling you, oh, you can't beat you got to have this extracurricular super high dexterity to give him a firm talk. No, fuck that. Scriptures tell us to whoop his ass, man. And we ain't saying just go beat your children. No, you correct them, which is actual love, right? This Ephesians 6 and verse 4, and ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. So, hey, you don't just go be in a lion house beating the shit out of you. No. Of course, you discipline them, you correct them when they wrong, but you also instill in them the fear and nurture of the Lord, you see? But there's just a few precepts. God knows there was many other ones that we could have brought out, but I don't want to, do too much. So, hey, Lord willing, this was a quick edifying lesson called Halayim La, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahushai Bahasham Rakah Kodash. The bonus to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone. So he takes to all that I can push the word to say it with charity. Shalom, Baratham, Wakwam, Yasharala, Shalom.